Don't know if we posted a link to this one yet.
Mm.
You might need to post the link.
I forgot to do anything like that today. I was a little preoccupied.
Well, we might need to post. We might need to run in and post a link.
Well, that's easy enough to.
You are traveling through another dimension, a dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. Your next stop is Off the Cuff Paranormal. Join us every Friday at 8 p.m. on the NPI YouTube channel.
All right, folks, and we are here. I'm not sure who's watching us right now. You were going to say about the link, Mike?
Oh, I can share the link to the show. And I'm doing this from my tablet tonight, so that's something new.
Okay.
I adjust my stuff here.
I'll let you fool with the link. Hello, Kay. So we're going to get the link set up. Sorry, Kay, we didn't. It's been a really busy day, folks, because for myself, I mean, I've been getting prepped for my a vacation. So, yep, on my way down to Mexico. Nice shirt. Oh, hey, yeah, nice shirt.
Which one, mine or yours?
She didn't say. She just said, "Guys, nice shirts." Mine's a dragon. Apparently, the way I'm sitting, it's a fat dragon.
No comment.
No comment. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. But I'm on my way down to Mexico, and tomorrow to an all-inclusive. So it's going to be a fabulous time. Destination wedding of all things. So it's going to be a lot of fun. No, okay, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to get to the Island of the Dolls. I would like to, but I would dare to say that my partner in crime down there with me, she would not care to probably go to that particular island. Oh, well, it happens. It does happen. So, folks, before we get into it tonight, Mike is just sharing the link because we were both been just inundated with a lot of stuff on both our parts to try and get this link out there and share it today. Just so much on the go. It's just been just a buzz of activity. But I want to let you all know that next Friday, because I won't be back until next Saturday, next Friday, Off the Cuff Paranormal will not be on the air. We are actually... That was pretty good. We are actually going to cancel that show, partially because the setup is kind of through me, and it's hard to kind of figure this how to share the setup program and everything. So we're going to skip one weekend, but don't worry, we'll be back the following Friday, brand new and all at it all over again. But for tonight, folks, and I would dare to say people better get off their butts and start watching this because, hey, guys, where is everybody? I know I got Kay in here. Somebody's going to have to go over and pitch Amy or something.
Amy was messaging me asking me if we're doing the show tonight. So, like, where is she? I'm going to message her right now. See,
there's somebody came on.
There's my phone. See, look, my Connect's phone. See, oh, yeah.
Ooh, nice phone.
Oh, live.
So, folks, tonight, Amy is here.
Okay.
Amy. Hello, paranormal buddy. All right, so tonight's show.
Yes. Yes.
This show idea was actually brought to us by who? Was it Amy?
I think this one was Amy.
Or
I
was
think
it
this one
Kate?
was Amy. I don't think it was Kay. I'm pretty sure it was Amy.
Well, one of the two of them, I just don't remember which one. So sorry, folks. Don't get mad at me. Uh, this show is touching on the premise of dun 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 reincarnation. So, Mr. Mike, where
Yeah.
do you stand with the concept of reincarnation?
I don't. Well, I have a fun belief. Okay, my belief is. Oh, where'd you go? There you are.
Yeah, I'm just
You like did the. You
sorry.
reincarnated yourself sideways.
Sorry, I just turned up the sound.
No, I have this fun belief where when people are reincarnated, they are and like they have like fears, like phobias and stuff like that. Like I myself have a phobia of elevators. So I believe that if I was reincarnated, which I'm not saying I am, but if I was, in my previous life, I was killed in an elevator. So I kind of like I can get behind the idea of it. Like it's obviously a very spiritual thing, and there's religions out there that are very much behind all of this. So I can kind of get behind it too, but only to a point.
Okay, so that's an interesting concept of reincarnation. I've never quite thought of it that way. I mean, that would be honestly a terrifying thing to me because that means I died probably with millions of spiders.
What a horrible thought, right?
It is
Or
a horrible thought. Kay goes, I have a funny story if you want to hear it. Well, share away, Kay, share away. Um, I mean, okay, so let's go back to just I guess, the beginning of reincarnation. I mean, my understanding of the concept is that it's basically being uh, um, born again, whether but it's not of the same person. It's as something else. I won't say. I mean, I believe that if you're human, you're going to be reincarnated. Okay, let me rephrase that. I believe the concept of if you're reincarnated, you become reincarnated as another human, whether that's man, woman. I don't think it really matters. But you could be reincarnated as either or. That is my belief on the fact of reincarnation. I don't think that you can come back as a dog, a turtle, a slug. I mean, I mean, I would be really disappointed if I had to crawl around for just with a slime trail behind me. I mean, it's. So I don't necessarily believe you could be reincarnated as a plant.
but I mean, when I was doing some reading about this, and it's actually quite interesting. Um, there are cultures where we weren't necessarily reincarnated into like a bug or a slug or whatever, but you could have been a bug or a slug and reincarnated into a human. Right?
Well,
Like that's so like you have a fear of spiders. A lot of people do, but what if, and this is going to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but what if you were a bug that got attacked by a spider? And then you're reincarnated into a human, and now you inherently have this fear of spiders because that's how you died as a bug.
I'm not even sure where to go with that one. I mean, I guess it's possible. I mean, if there's an all-seeing force out there that basically says, I mean, hey, you are what I tell you're going to be. You have to go, All right. What was I? You were I mean, does that mean that people that are afraid of souls, like, I mean, because they got stepped on by a soul? Get it? I don't. I mean, I had to go there. Okay, so
I'll see myself out now.
Kay wrote this. She said, not so long after my mom died, I was down at my sister's. There was a butterfly fluttering around outside the window.
Okay.
Then she wrote, my sister said it had been there since our mom died. I stood watching it for a while, and then I turned to my sister and informed her that the cat had just ate mom. Amy, laugh my ass off. Oh my god, I thought the screen glitched, but it was just Daryl pressing the spider to bed. So hold on a second. My sister said that it had been there since our mom died. It stood watching it for a while, and then I turned to my sister and informed her that the cat had just ate mom. Oh dear, that's a terrible thought, Kay. I mean, does that mean if they're reincarnated again, that whoever's reincarnated is going to be terrified of cats because it ate them when they were a butterfly? I mean, this concept becomes really, really bizarre if you think about it.
Well, it does. Like it says, reincarnation, also known as rebirth or transmigration, is the philosophical or religious concept that the non-physical essence of a living being begins in a new life in a different physical form or body after biological death. So it doesn't clearly state that you have to have been a human and became another human.
Okay, all right, that is true. There's no solid guideline to say, but that would be that's personally I would think my personal belief is to hope that if I were to be reincarnated, that it would be as a human. But that does go along with something else that I had thought about before, because I mean, I think you remember at one point in time I was talking about the concept of, at what point does a soul actually move on to whatever that all encompassing final destination is.
Yes.
That something has to learn over and over and over again all of the plausibilities of life in its entirety before the soul has learned enough and gained enough knowledge in itself to actually progress to that next stage. That being said, then yes, it makes perfect sense that you could be reincarnated as just about anything. I mean, you could come back at now here's the question. Is it just strictly done as life forms? Like, you're not going to be reincarnated as, say, glass table?
No, you come back as a living being. I mean, you can't come back as an inanimate object. Like, I'm not going to come back as this pop can. We're not getting sponsored by AW, by the way.
But you'd be recyclable.
Aren't we, anyways?
Well, I guess we are.
Have you not seen those things? They have those ads for, like, you could get cremated and put into like a pot and then like in a plant, and then you can go get planted in the ground, and then you become food for trees.
Yes.
So you're being recycled.
Biopods or something like that.
Yes. So you're being recycled.
Well, did you see the other one that they can put you into it's like a coffin, but they put you in and they throw in dirt and everything else, and basically they mulch you. They turn you into. They wait until you degrade enough that you can start to mix, and you actually become the mulch for other plants. I'm like, now somebody said a long time ago, isn't that like the setting for a haunted forest? But I mean,
okay. So think of this, Daryl. I've actually read something somewhere where, when you think of the planet, the planet is actually inhabited by plants, trees, and what do plants and trees need to survive? They need what we exhale, right? Carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I know this sounds very scientific, but in the end, we get buried in the ground. In previous, they doesn't matter. We get buried into the ground. Then become food for the trees a second time. So really, it's the trees that rule the planet, as opposed to people being in charge of all this. What we see, we're just food for plants.
Well, that is true.
Right?
I mean, Amy said ashes can also be made into jewelry. I mean, I think, okay. So I've always come to the thought that, I mean, I've always believed, to an extent, that the trees by far are probably, I wouldn't say smarter, but I think they actually are, because without actually human interference, we know trees can live to be thousands and thousands and thousands of years old, and if untouched, longer. I mean, it's incredible. And I mean, to say that what you said, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It leads to the whole plausibility that you could think really abstractly outside the box and say, you know what, they turned around and made us, so they had something to eat later.
That's right. So they live off of us as we're living ourselves, and then we die, and then they just consume our bodies entirely. It's like, thanks, you helped me live by breathing, and now you're dead, but we're just going to eat you anyways.
I think it's time we had to talk to Stephen King.
And I don't know how this has anything to do with the paranormal, but like
Amy said, I'm going to buy my own plot of land in Scotland to become a lord lady, and then throw my ashes onto that tree and create my own haunted forest.
You're gonna throw your own ashes, Amy? That would be impressive. Like, I don't know that. How do you do that? How do you throw
spectral power?
Yeah, like, how do you throw your own ashes though? Like, can you imagine? Like, you go to do an investigation, and there's like an urn sitting on a fireplace, and all of a sudden it just like opens up, and then the ashes start coming flying out. I would probably lose my shit.
Whose urn was that? That was Amy's.
Make sure there's a tree nearby.
All right, so let's go back. If
it's Amy's haunted forest.
I'm sorry, that was just perfect. Oh my god, that was good. Oh, Christmas forest, Christmas haunted forest,
haunted Christmas forest. There you go.
Okay, so God, yes, I got that stuck in my head. So if let's just say, if in theory reincarnation is or does happen, I mean, it could. Do you think that explains why people get the information coming to them in reference to past lives, past experiences, talking in different tongues that they've never talked into, different languages they've never talked before, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it does make sense. Like, there's claims of like little kids that can speak another language, and they've only ever spoken one language their whole life. Or another example is a kid that remembers being on the Titanic, and has obviously not been on the Titanic because it's at the bottom of the ocean, and this kid is like 4 years old. It's like, I remember being on a ship and it hit an iceberg, or it whatever. They don't necessarily, I don't remember exactly the words that they use, but it's like, how could that kid know that?
Well, that's part of it too. I mean, I'm just it makes me wonder if that is due to the concept of reincarnation, or more just the fact that they have a connection to said spirits, in the afterlife, that the connection is tight somehow that way. I don't know. I mean, I could see how that would blend together and how it would prompt somebody to actually believe the reincarnation. But it brings up another thought to me. That being that if reincarnation is possible, and if it does happen, what do you think is the prerequisite that would cause something out there to make that decision to say, no, you have to do it again?
I have no idea. I think if I knew the answer to that, I would probably be very well off. I don't know what the prerequisite would be. I don't know.
Well, here's something interesting. Have a read. So just to let everybody else know, I had a regression done just before COVID. The weird thing about it, the hypnotist said, what the hypnotist said is that I told her to mind her own business when she starts to ask questions.
Well, isn't a hypnotist isn't that their job to kind of ask kind of personal questions?
Well, I think a hypnotist is just their job is to put you under and try to get answers from you. So, I mean, but if they're asking questions of somebody, I mean, you know as well as probably anybody. But then again, okay, so Kay, I mean, you're not necessarily the type to release all your information just off to use our term, just off the cuff. Normally, I mean, if people are worried about talking to somebody or releasing any information, you're not going to. And even a hypnotist can't cause people to do things that naturally they would not ever do in their waking life. So I watched a show where there was, I can't remember what his name was, but he was world famous hypnotist, and he said the same thing. If I asked you to go out and pick up a knife and stab somebody, you're not going to do it because you wouldn't do it when you're awake. What makes you think you do it when you're asleep? He says, I can give you suggestions, but I can't force you to do it. So maybe that's why you told her, to basically mind her own business, because it's not something that you normally would have answered. Just a thought.
Yeah.
And Kay says she said that had never happened before. There's always first.
There's always a first time for everything.
That is true. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know whether. Yeah, I don't know whether it's. Well, anyway, I digress. I was going back to prerequisite.
Right.
Okay. First of all, before I get back to prerequisite, Kay said she took me back. I recall being in a courtyard in a green dress. A horse trampled me, but after that, she said it closed off. Oh, you got trampled by a horse. That would have been impressive had she said you've been trampled by a cow. Then I would have been impressed, Kay, because I know you don't like cows. But
Kay doesn't like clowns and cows. Like, what kind of past life did you have, Kay, that we don't know about? Seriously,
Yeah, was she actually trampled by a horse, or was it a cow? Maybe it was a horse cow, or the horse was once a cow.
She was trampled by a cow that had a clown on top of it. It's true. Don't deny it, Kay. You know it's true.
Kay's going a scary one. Okay, sounds like a radio. Sounds like a rodeo girl. Ooh, maybe Kay was a rodeo. That's a good one, Amy. Maybe Kay was a rodeo girl. She was a rodeo clown. So
she was the clown.
She was the clown that got trampled. I mean, you can read into this so many different ways. Okay, so folks, we're off on a tangent here. We went down another rabbit hole, but We got into clowns, cows, and horses. But again, we go back to the prerequisites. What is a prerequisite to get reincarnated? I mean, why some people and not others?
Okay, so I got to bring it up again because I actually found something kind of interesting about that has to do with it. In what religion is it? Hang on. 1 second. Okay, I can't find it, but I'm gonna be totally winging this by my memory, which sucks. It was something along the lines. I think it was in Hinduism or something like that. The prerequisite to be reincarnated was based on your karma.
Okay.
Yes.
In what way?
I don't know. I don't remember that part.
I mean,
so if you were like a good person in your life, you did a lot of good deeds in your life, you had a better chance of, and someone that was very, spiritual had a very good chance of being reincarnated, whereas someone that was less favorable in society, was up to no good in their life, there's less chance of them being reincarnated into something worthy of their soul.
Okay, but Kate goes, she's asleep next to me, Karma the dog.
Yeah, not your dog.
Okay, hold on though. So you're telling me that if I read that right, if I listened to you correctly, that the prerequisite is if you did something worthy of being reincarnated, you were reincarnated. If you didn't, you weren't. Is that what
right? That's right.
Yeah, but if that's the case, what happened to you if you weren't? Where did you go?
That I don't know.
I mean, See, that's why I kind of always like to think that if you're reincarnated because your soul hasn't learned enough lessons to move on to the greater good, wherever that may be or whatever form that may take. That's what I like to think.
Yeah.
I guess it just goes to show you there's so many different religions out there that look at it from different aspects. That
right, like one thing I saved on my phone here. Plato, not Plato, but Plato, in the 5th to 4th century BCE, believed in an immortal soul that participates in frequent incarnations. The major religions that hold a belief in reincarnation, however, are Asian religions, especially Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, and Sikhism, all of which arose in India.
Okay. So they just believe the person just keeps going on and 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 on forever and ever and ever. Amen.
Yes.
That's
why in like Sikhism there is different I don't know what the term is because I'm not totally fluent in my Sikhism, but they celebrate these spiritual leaders, even like they're dead obviously, but they celebrate their birthday still, like 800 years old. They still celebrate it like he's still alive. Yeah. Right? So it's like his spirit is just being reincarnated. Never mind the person itself, but his spirit has. It just continues. Like so many, like especially Sikhism, they really focus like you don't necessarily die when you die.
Well, no, but wouldn't that mean that? I mean, that kind of negates the concept of heaven, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, if you're just being born over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, but like in that logic, Earth is heaven. Well,
that's true if you want to look at it like that. And I'm really not sure quite how I would look at that. I mean, I guess it depends on how you're living it. I mean, you've heard the term old soul, right? Somebody has an
I say
old
that all the
soul.
time.
Somebody
Yeah.
has a young soul. I mean, if you work along that concept of what you just said, then yes, it absolutely ties hand in hand with those statements. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I mean, I've never had any indications that I've ever lived a past life, yet I've had psychics and sensitives tell me that I have an old soul. So I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. Now, here's something that Kay just wrote. She said, in the Buddhist context, nirvana refers to realization of non-self and emptiness, marking the end of rebirth by stilling the fires that keep the process of rebirth going. I have to read that probably once or twice to grasp that one, but it does make sense. Cases from Wiki. Now, Amy says, I've heard that theory that old souls come back to teach what they've learned to other people who are more of a new soul. And then Kay writes, to achieve the status, one has to get rid of 3 psychological evils: raga, greed, desire, duesha, anger, and moa, delusion. Wait a minute. I'm going to stop you there, Kate. So, to achieve the status of, I guess what you're saying is to achieve the status of enlightenment, we have to get rid of, okay, I can understand getting rid of evils, greed, and desire, because, that's kind of the root of all evil, right? Anger, I mean, I think anger makes us more just as much as genuine care and concern and love, does it not? Or am I wrong there? Now, before we answer that question, delusion, that's something that brings up a whole new question. And I'm just going to stop right there. I'll let Mike take it from there, because I'm not sure where to go with that one.
I don't know. I'm delusional right now.
This is referring to okay, so that's referring to nirvana,
right? So if you want to go into a state of nirvana, you have to be like. There's someone I watch on TikTok who they just like, it's like a voice, and he just basically, it is what it is. Just let things go, right? Like, yeah.
I think that that's a whole. I got to do a lot more studying.
Yeah,
on this kind of stuff.
I'm not fluent in any of it, and just a disclaimer for anybody like halfway through the show already and is like never watched one of our shows before. Neither one of us is an expert on any of this. Like, it's just something we gotta go off the cuff on, literally.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. But I agree with you. I mean, I think that, okay, my concept is, if somebody wants to move on to that greater power out there, whatever that may be, because I believe that if reincarnation exists, and I've never questioned whether it does or doesn't, I'm always on the kind of the edge of saying, I think it does. I think it's a viable thing. I just don't know to what degree. But I think a soul has to learn enough things for itself, enough experiences and whatnot. And thus, it does tie into that old soul idea, which is what Amy said, is to actually, come back and help teach the young. I think it reaches a point where it just can't do any more here, and thus it moves on to something greater, so it can contribute its energies, its powers, to the grand scheme of what is out there. I mean, I'm just going to go off on a limb and say what I picture is it's like a picture like a giant ball of energy. I mean, make it a giant Dragon Ball Z, whatever, but it's a giant ball of energy. Okay, that energy exists there. If you could see it, it would look like a giant sun. Okay, so that being said, yes, something like that, but it's not green. That's more like a UFO. It's an unidentified greeny object. But that energy exists out there, and that's what people tap into when they pray. That's my interpretation of it. Okay, I'm not saying it is or isn't. I'm just saying it's what I think it is. I think they tap into this energy. That energy either gives you what you need or what you might require. Not necessarily what you asked for, but what you might require. And I have a really good instance of that taking place, which I'll tell you in just a second. Kay said, I personally don't believe in it. I think once we die, we hit another plane, or is that plane, or is another plane, or is that plane of existence? Huh? I fear.
Put it on the screen.
That's what
I
you wrote.
personally don't believe in it. I think once we die, we hit another plane, or is that plane of existence?
It didn't make any more sense that time either. And then she wrote,
My fear is that we get asked, okay, do you want to go back as a ghost or move on over? But who's asking the question? Is it God? Is it just this mysterious voice?
well, okay,
Is it a slug? Like, what the hell is it?
is it a slug? It's the almighty slug.
Bow down to the slug. Did you bring salt? No?
Oh,
Good,
dear.
you're in.
Oh, dear. Well, hey, isn't that? Well, maybe that's what evil is just a giant slug because it doesn't cross a line of salt.
See? You're on something.
Okay, there goes another rabbit hole. I think we dug that one ourselves. But okay, so I'll get back to my concept here. My concept is that this energy exists. Okay,
Okay.
and when I was in a recovery house years and years and years ago. Oh my God, Kay, you just had to say Jabba the Slug.
Bring me solo.
Yo, Mookie. All right. So I was in the recovery house, but anyway, there was a woman that I knew. I didn't have a clue where she was. I just didn't know. I know she had left. She had gone down to the States or something like that. I had no idea she was back. And through recovery, I mean, we always were taught to believe in something a little slicker than ourselves. Not necessarily God, because there was so many people there that one person's belief wasn't necessarily the other. So we were just, the guy always said to us, just believe in something a little slicker than yourself, right? Whatever that might be. And so my belief was in something, and I always pictured like the light around the candle flame, right? And I had asked, call it a prayer or whatever you want. I had asked, I said, I really need to apologize because we have to make amends. I need to really apologize to this lady for something I had done wrong in the past. And I'm hoping that, you'll in some way let me know when she's available to talk to. And it was a few days later that I woke up, I sat straight up and I went, she's back. I have no idea why. I just knew she was back. I went to my dad at the time. I told him exactly the same thing. And when I actually sent a friend out to find out whether she was back, she had actually gotten back that morning. So what told me? So
it's that voice. Who was it exactly, right? A lot of people would say it was God.
well, that's why. But that's why I always like to think that God is just a mixture of all the energies of people that have moved on finally to reach that enough knowledge to add to that consensus of knowledges that we interpret as God. Now, this is just my opinion, folks, nobody else's. And that grand consensus, that grand God thing, is just all the souls that have learned all the lessons that they can to move on to this next plane. And this is where people tap into. This is where they hear us. When we pray, when we think, when we talk, when we move, they hear us. Now, does that mean that's what we're tapping into in the paranormal?
I don't know, because I mean, I can't speak for you, but I'm not a religious person, and I don't pray.
Nope.
I don't do any of that. So, but I know there's investigators that do and are, and are they more likely to tap into something when we're in investigation than someone like myself that is not? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. Your picture got a little choppy there for a second, Mike, and then okay, it's not choppy anymore. I don't know. It's such a hard question because we've never gotten answers. Although we've asked, we've never gotten answers in that reference.
No.
But then again, I don't think I've ever asked about reincarnation.
No, I don't think I have either. I mean, I've talked about making animal sounds, but not necessarily because they were an animal once in their life. And you have to keep in mind I was investigating a farm, so it kind of made sense. I wasn't just asking for random animal sounds to be made.
So you're going,
yeah, I was. I think Amy was there actually. I was. It was a farm, and I was actually saying, you worked on a farm at one time. Can you make the sound of a cow and make the sound of a sheep? And then it went down a rabbit hole from there with lots of laughter.
I could see that. I could see that. That would be absolutely.
But I wasn't asking it because of the premise that they were once a cow or a sheep or anything like that. And when I'm investigating, I keep religion out of it. Really, mostly I really do. I don't think it really needs to be played in it, but there are those that really build that part up, right? Like, if you're at a church, you kind of go on that tangent and you kind of go, were you a religious person? Did you come here often? That kind of thing. But you're right. We've never once asked, were you reincarnated?
Well, there's just another thing in our book.
It is. But my boiler's making a weird sound. In our living lives, we don't know if we're reincarnated. So what's going to make us think that after we pass on, we know that we're reincarnated?
Well, that's the thing, is you don't.
That's right.
I mean, your soul does, I think. I mean, I believe that your soul does, and I think that holds on to that information. Whether it holds. Okay, so there's okay. This just opens up a whole can of worms because if you go along the premise that people are reincarnated and the soul retains the information of the past, then you think it would retain all the information, but I don't think it does. I think it retains the relevant new experiences of whatever it's currently in, and thus, yeah, exactly. Thus, Kay, you get possible deja vu. But
yeah, I knew that's where you're going to go, because that's a really common theory, is that deja vu is your soul is remembering something, or a past experience, and replaying it for you because you have no recollection of it, and it's like kind of like when we're done our show.
we're like, what did we just talk about? I don't know, man. Rabbit holes.
Sorry, it's just one of those days. I need the laughter.
Well, this was definitely this is definitely the show you needed to do, Mike. It was definitely the show you needed to do. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that could be one thing. Yes, Kay, deja vu, but I mean, I think it holds on to the relevant information from the last person it was a part of, whether that be or the last. Let's just go with it. The last creature, person, animal, whatever it was part of. I mean, me. Look at this. Was I a horse in a past life, and now I'm like highly allergic to them? I mean, was it an extravagant lesson for my soul to say this is what it's like being a horse, but this is what it's like being a friggin' allergic to them? You know.
My past life animal. Sorry. This is what happens when I do a show from my son's room.
I thought you were going to ask what your son is doing with a pink flamingo.
Okay. It's a cup holder. It's a cup holder. Hang on.
Come on, guys. Oh, help us now. All right. Uh-oh, what's he doing?
What? Look up birthmarks. There's a popular theory that birthmarks are a symbol of how one died in the past. Yeah, that was actually going to be something I was going to touch on. Thank you, Amy. So there's a theory that if you have a birthmark on your arm or something, and it's like a long one like that, it's like on your arm. It's a theory that you were stabbed in a past lifetime, or if you have like a really circular one, it's like you were shot. That's just assuming that, well, maybe not assuming, but that you were once a human and reincarnated into a human.
So what about those ones that are like,
Yeah, I mean, what if you were not a human and you were a slug, and you got stepped on, and your whole face was smushed in, and now you have this birthmark. It's like, oh, unfortunately, that's the way your life is because you were killed by someone stepping on you in past life.
I can.
It's just a theory. I'm not saying it's true. I mean, can you imagine we're doing an investigation and be like, were you a slug in your past lifetime? And if we don't explain it to everyone else that's there, like say like I don't know if Ken and Holly are listening or watching tonight, but if they don't watch this, they have no idea what we talked about. And we get on our next investigation, we say, were you a slug in your past life? We'd probably be like, get this response like, what?
Well,
I was a clown stepped on by, there you go. But no, no.
Well, I mean, but in theory, yeah, you're right, though, Amy, that, the birthmarks are what some people consider exactly, as Mike had said earlier, ways people had died. But I don't know. I mean, if that's the case, I was shot in the arm here. Or is it this arm? Anyway, it's one of these two. Don't remember which. I haven't looked lately. But I'm just saying. But I don't know. I would like to think that reincarnation is plausible. I don't know. I don't know whether I'd be willing to take the leap of faith and actually say that it's true. But I would lean more toward it being plausible than not. But I still leaves me with the question as to why.
I think, everyone's goal in life is to live the best life possible, right? But that includes being good to others, right? Like there's people that out there living the best life possible, but they're also complete a-holes. So, not saying anything Elon Musk, but you just want to put out have the best life possible, so that way, if there is any chance of reincarnation, you got the grounds to support it, right?
True.
I don't know. Like, do you have to go to court and say, stand in front of a judge and say, here's my case?
Amy wrote that.
A birthmark on my neck. My brother once had met a psychic medium, and she said, "You have a sister who has a birthmark on her neck. She was killed by an Indian arrow in a past life."
Right in the neck.
So, Amy, were you once a deer? They get shot in the neck.
It's just didn't run fast enough.
Or, Amy, do you have a fear of deers?
Well, do you have a fear? Well, I mean, everybody has a fear of bow and arrows, but.
Well, yeah, okay. No one wants to be shot by a bow and arrow, except for those people that put the apple on their head, and they're just psychotic. But, is there an animal that conceivably First Nation people would have hunted that you're afraid of? The buffalo, deer, rabbits. Are you afraid of any of them? I'm not afraid of buffaloes. They'd just be huge and scary, but I don't know if I'm afraid of them. A cougar and came back as a human.
I just had to post that.
Okay, Amy, you get this. My son has everything, I tell you. Seriously. He's got a bow and arrow.
This is Sparta.
He's got more.
All right, so
if he's watching this, he's gonna be like, "Stop playing with my stuff." This is Sparta.
Oh, wow, looks like He-Man. Holy crap. Okay, so Kate writes, the 14th Dalai Lama has stated his belief that it would be difficult for science to disprove reincarnation. But at the same time, it's hard enough to prove that it actually happens. I think that I just don't. It's hard to say. I mean, there's so many people out there that have these past life regressions and come back and say stuff or talk in a different life. Is it the fact? Okay, so is it the fact that we've been reincarnated, or is it the fact that the human being, as a living soul, as a living thing, has the ability to tap into different languages, different understandings, different concepts, or even history or future itself without not even being reincarnated? We just don't know how to tap into it normally. Yet when somebody's put under, they open that mind up to be able to tap into said points or said ideas, said thoughts. Right? So it's nothing really to be what I'm thinking anyway.
You got me speechless. I don't know what to say. Yeah, it sounds logical. Coming from a very illogical person this evening, yeah, no, it does. It does. It makes sense. The human brain, we don't know very much about it, despite we think we know a lot about it. Like, there's parts where, why is it that people can claim to have psychic abilities? Not claim, but you know how I feel about it all. Mm-hmm. Where they have these abilities, whereas other people don't. Like, why are some people able to tap into these things? It doesn't all make sense. It doesn't all, I don't understand it, and I probably never will. But maybe that is what they're tapping into. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I guess I think it comes down to it is if we're really lucky, maybe one day we might actually find out. But I don't think we will. But I mean, if I have not reached the point, as in my personal belief, if I have not reached the point that my soul is ready to go in and join the upper echelon, that up there, wherever there might be. If I'm going to be reincarnated again, whatever you do, don't make me a slug. And if I am, please watch where you walk.
My son doesn't have any toy slugs, so I'm sorry I can't give you a visual. Lots of other things up here and over there.
Just no slugs. But I mean, yeah, I hope I come back as another person. I mean, that's what I think happens to people. I think they come back. If they're going to come back at all, they're going to come back as another person. And that's what I.
Yeah. So I like to, like, I'm like a. You ever read the Choose Your Own Adventure books? The Choose Your Own Adventure books. You know, where it's like you're reading a story and then you come to a point. It's like you do option A and you go here. You got option B and this happens.
Oh God, not for a long time, but okay.
Yeah, okay. But as a kid, I remember reading them. So I kind of want to look at it that way. Like I say I'm killed tomorrow, right? And I'm faced with this decision. It's not necessarily a god, but it's a energy that is a being. It has a soul. But it kind of talks to you out of nowhere, and it kind of goes, okay, here's your choice. You can do this, or you can do this, but you can't do both.
Well, now you're working along the premises that you've got your book standing in front of you, and every time you turn the page, it's just an empty page. It's what you choose to put on that page. But then that means your destiny is not written, where some people say everybody's destiny is already preordained.
Yeah, but I'm the believer where nothing is written.
Where I'm one of the ones that I think more along the lines of things are preordained. We just don't know what they are. But here's okay. So I know we're running short on time, folks. And if it goes slightly over, we apologize. But that being said. Let me rephrase that. I wouldn't say it's preordained to a point that, you know, it's you don't have a choice in these pages. I think your book length is preordained. I think you can make any choice at any point in time that you want during that book. And that book is your life story. Whatever you choose to make it, or whatever interactions or anything else choose to do, it makes that book for you. However, at the end page, that preordained position still exists, always will, and will happen whether you need it, want it, or like it.
I mean, ultimately, everyone dies, right?
Yeah.
So everyone's book ends with the end.
It does, but some people's ends tragically, some people ends peacefully, some people end in a plane crash, some people end in a shipwreck, some people end.
But I'm not in a belief where that is preordained. I don't believe that, anyways.
Well, that's where Kay came back and goes, ooh, isn't that the fates? One of them cuts your timeline.
But I'm also a very firm believer in everything happens for a reason. So maybe the pages aren't necessarily blank, they're invisible ink.
Interesting. Well, folks, I mean, it's been, I'm not sure how many holes we dug today. I'm not sure how many tunnels we've traveled down today. But there's been quite a few, and we've had a lot of laughs. But it's getting right near the end of the show, as Kay says, to be continued. Oh, you shall not pass. Oh, is that Potter? Is that Harry Potter?
No.
Oh, it's Gandalf. No. You're just some wizard dude.
It's just a wizard dude.
Just a wizard dude. Well, there you go, folks. We have a wizard dude. But you know what? Hey, it's been an interesting show. I mean, I've had a lot of fun. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I needed it. This is a good one.
And we'd like to thank Amy very much for the idea of reincarnation. It's been a blast talking about it. And I mean, there's a lot of things connected with that. So who knows? We'll be back at this again some other day, and who knows what we're going to touch on or where those rabbit holes are going to connect. But folks, it is now 9 o'clock. This is basically the end of our show. Please note the next Friday, Off the Cuff Paranormal will not be on. I won't be back from Mexico by then. So you guys are going to have to wait 2 weeks for us. But we'll have another exciting show after that.
December 2nd.
Pardon me?
December 2nd. That's what I was looking when I got my phone beside the microphone.
December 2nd, exactly. And who knows what we're going to talk about. I mean, we've been given a lot of good ideas. So you just never know. Anyway, guys, until then, from myself, Daryl.
And me, Mike.
We want to wish you guys an awesome night. And thank you so much for joining us both on Off the Cuff. Good night.
Night, everybody.